Stanton and the Miami Marlins travel to New York to face the Mets.
Left right field towards the corner.
The pregame's at 3:30 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio. SVP and Russillo, the podcast.
Hey, it's SVP and Russillo. Appreciate you checking out the podcast. It's loosey-goosey. You should know that going in. Chris Long talked a lot about a minivan he bought named Dennis the Menace. We talk a bunch about Steph Curry and a win from Golden State that you could feel coming, even though New Orleans led by 17 with 6 minutes to go. When's the last time anybody told LeBron James no in his life? And what's that got to do about the Kevin Love story? What's next for the Royals? Why do they hate everybody, and why does everybody hate them? That, I got something to say. Let me ask you a question. All part of a fun podcast. Starts now.
SVP and Russillo.
So Stanford Steve decided it's an EDM Friday.
Executive decision, sir.
How much does this have to do with the fact that Russillo bought bulk candy on the way in, and you guys are just back there smashing sugary treats?
We have every kind of Sour Patch Kids there is, and it's awesome.
All right.
I let Mike choose first, too. What'd you go with, Mikey?
I went with the Skittles in the resealable bag.
Yeah, because that said if he goes camping, he won't lose any.
There you go. And he's gonna. He's a camper, that guy.
What'd you go with, Rob, Kelly?
I went with these Sour Patch Fruits.
Yeah, switching it up. Grape.
And
then?
Stanford Steve.
I had last pick, and I won.
Which is?
Sour Patch Exploders.
There's a little something in the middle going on.
It's not enough to have a jelly bean encased in sugar. Let's go ahead and put some syrupy goop in the middle of that bad boy. All right.
I can't wait to see how tired everybody gets in hour two.
So that's how our Friday's kicking off, with some EDM and some sugar treats. And would probably a lot of folks need a little an energy boost if you're East Coasters, and you were ready to punt on that Golden State game. It's a 17-point game with 6 to go. And I'm just watching just because I enjoy watching. I love a crowd that's into it. New Orleans was.
You knew they'd be fired up for that one.
Man. And they delivered.
They don't need a reason.
Nope. Davis is great, and you know how I feel about Golden State. I mean, I honestly didn't know, Ryan. Since it's the playoffs, you don't need to rest dudes because it's not like you got another game tomorrow night. You've actually got the same rest as your opponent. But I really wondered if Golden State was just going to punt on the game. And then around the 6-minute mark, some guys check back in, and you go, oh, okay. Well, we're going to try here, and then it was evident to everyone in that building that they were the character in the horror movie that's going to die, and everyone knew it.
It was so much fun, and I know our people down there, I feel about you, but the combination was just too perfect. You have Golden State, you have Steph who can get it going, and the irony of Steph is they're down 103-93 with 3.5 minutes left. From that point on, from 3:35 to regulation, not overtime, he had 4 misses that led to offensive rebounds that led to 9 points. So he wasn't even hitting all these shots. His shooting night actually was pretty poor for him.
Well, he and Clay went 19 for 50. You give New Orleans that box score before the game, and like, oh, that's a lot of buckets that they scored. But they knew 19 for 50. We might be able to get that one.
Yeah, right. You'd think you would. And here's New Orleans offense. They're getting side guys to contribute. Ryan Anderson was terrific last night. He was
giving it to Draymond.
Right. He said Draymond, when he flopped on that elbow by Anderson, and then Draymond, it's not enough to get the call. He's still in his grill. And that's the way Draymond's programmed, so I'm not dogging him for that. I don't want to make it sound that way. But I could read their lips, and Anderson's like, all right, whatever. And then he goes, hit me right now. And Draymond's like, oh, I'll hit you. And Anderson had huge buckets. That 1-foot step back from a guy who looked like he couldn't even move in the beginning. But here's the formula. It's Kerr, it's Curry, it's offensive rebounding, and it's Monty Williams on the other side. And I'm sorry, and I'm not going to go crazy on it, but it's one of those moments, again, I'm at home, and you're yelling at the TV going, you're about to lose the game. You're going to lose. And you just go, well, what's it like being front row to watch everything fall apart? You don't foul at the right time. Like, you can't figure that part out twice. You don't foul Curry. And they said afterwards, he's like, no, we were supposed to foul. And I'm like, I knew you were going to say that. Maybe they were. Maybe the players screwed it up.
You had ample time to foul, and they didn't.
They had so much time to foul Curry in that spot. Curry had 4 misses that led to, let me add it up, 9 in that stretch, and then overtime. Even though it became a 1-point game again, it just didn't feel like Golden State was going to lose.
And because Steph is in that discussion of the most compelling players in any sport to watch, singular player to watch, you cannot take your eyes off him. Even on a night where he shoots poorly, it's the manner in which he goes about it. There's a level of confidence there. And I found this interesting. And Kerr talked about this after the game, that it's productive. You guys know how I feel about confidence. Confidence, most important attribute to have. But sometimes it can get them into trouble. That's what Kerr said after the game.
We have something special with our team. They're never out of the fight. They have great confidence, sometimes too much confidence. That's probably what got us in trouble in the first place. We try to walk the line between being explosive and being a little careless, and I thought we were careless. I thought early on we were really forcing things.
Yeah, well, you're down by a lot, and you're supposed to lose that game. And there were a number of times where if a shot doesn't go, human nature likely kicks in, and Golden State says, salute to you. You got a great player. Your contributing players played above and beyond. It was a great building. Tip our cap, and we move on.
They had 10 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter alone for Golden State.
But they decided not to do that, and they decided to fight. And the crazy thing, and everyone said this and pointed it out and showed all the different angles, should have been an and one. Should have been ball game. Because Curry,
the corner three?
He got tackled. He got tackled by two guys. And there's so many different angles. It's one of the best shot blockers in the game, and he flies at Curry. And the ability, the ability to make it is beyond my comprehension.
I expect it to go in. I expect every single shot to go in from him. It's like Stoudemire at Arizona in college. Remember?
Wet. Super wet.
Just stupid. You go, how does he ever miss? And even Curry, he's the guy. When they're misses, they touch every piece of that rim.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He never has the miss where it's just, I mean, the funny thing is it was so off on the first shot that it allowed the rebound. And then I understand it's human nature, it's frantic, and in that moment you're just not paying attention. But to lose him in that moment, for him to be able to grab the ball and get just enough clean airspace.
That one's tough, though. I mean, he's standing in the corner. The ball's loose. Everybody's freaking out.
I know.
So you normally, I mean, think about the Chris Bosh offensive rebound, throw it out to Ray Allen, which got LeBron another ring. But I got to tell you, when I'm watching and it's over, I go, that's not surprising.
Still think Korver's a better shooter?
Oh, he's just going to. Stanford Steve just messes with staff.
Korver himself put it the best, the degree of difficulty. His ability to be a great, difficult shooter is unmatched. He won the three-point shooting contest. J.J. Redick's the best long two shooter. We established that.
And by the way, Steph on the first miss before
the
time, his foot was on the line. So had that gone in, then you lose.
If you're New Orleans and you're trying to put some kind of a smile on this, I'm not talking about last night. No, there's not. Last night you were supposed to win, you didn't. You got one of the great players in the game, and you're ahead of schedule. You get a taste of this year, in part because OKC is as injured as they are, and there's a learning curve for almost everybody. And you file this away under just never, ever, ever. I don't even know that they assumed last night. I don't think they coasted. I think it's just you've just got to finish it. And there's a process to this. But, I mean, I think they beat everybody in the league last night except the team they were playing. You know what I mean? This was the one team that's got enough moxie and ability to bury those shots, and they got the MVP of the league in Curry.
Because at that point you're down, so there's no pressure on any of these shots, so you're pulling quick in the shot clock, so you're actually giving yourself more possessions. And granted, it is overtime, but they took over 100 shots last night as a team.
What a fun – I mean, it's late night. But it was so compelling, and everyone in that place when Davis missed that free throw to leave it within a shot to tie, everyone knows something awful is going to happen.
They also could probably tell by the offense that New Orleans was running the last 4 or 5 minutes of a game where you're giving away the lead, that something awful was happening every time you guys had the ball. I don't get it. I don't get how you can be at this level and go, let's not run anything good and see if they can catch up. Well, mission accomplished.
Tune in tomorrow. Steph and the Warriors, Davis and the Pelicans. It's presented on ESPN Radio by Auto Trader. Coverage begins 7 Eastern on most ESPN radio stations.
Pelicans have covered all 3 games.
I just am thankful for anyone that had a New Orleans ticket, because if you would have lost that one, that would have been a really, really bad one to go out on. Really bad.
SVP and Russillo.
So I'm banking on the home teams giving the teams that have the 2-0 lead a fight. The New Orleans game comes to mind. That's exactly the script you expect. You expect a good team with a talented player, a superstar in Davis, to bounce back and to win. They could have / should have, didn't. Boston they played Cleveland tough. They've had leads in both 2 games on the road. Last night I expected them to win. They did not. They did not. What's the headline or the takeaway that's worth starting the game 3 on?
I just don't want to hear post this series that Boston was in it all the time, because I know what the score is, but when you watch these games, Cleveland knows they're better. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest matchup LeBron's probably ever had in his playoff career, where he goes, I have to check Evan Turner or Jay Crowder. Done. Okay, and Evan Turner's guarding me at times, and then, Crowder's physical. I like Jay Crowder a lot. But they're just in control, and they apply the pressure when they need to. They start hitting shots. LeBron actually was hitting a lot of stuff from the outside. So I know what the score says, and I know that 10, it gets down to 5, but I don't know that any Celtics fans are really going, hey, we're right there, just one player away. Look how we fought with Cleveland. But this is a classic one team knows they're better than the other team's series.
I agree. 31 for LeBron, 23 for Love, who hit some big threes when it looked like maybe it was, and not just maybe, it was close for a second. A big 3.
It was 5 late again,
It was 3? No, it was 5 when Love hit that last 3. He goes 6 of 10 from 3. 23 for him. Some love afterwards.
First game, I was able to calm my nerves a little bit in the second half. Second game, I got a little bit of foul trouble, but I think tonight we were just finding each other out there. It wasn't just me. I mean, saw LeBron hitting guys all over the place. Kyrie as well. JR stepped up. Tristan. I mean, throughout our entire lineup, we have guys that do several different things. So we got to tip our hat to the Boston Celtics. They gave us a great game tonight, but we had a really great game plan against the Celtics.
So Love goes 23-9. That 3 was huge, and we've spent a lot of time this season talking about him, and I think it's justified, because we looked at him and talked about him as one of the most talented players in the league, and it just hasn't looked that way. But I think we're at a point where we go, we just have to accept the fact it's going to look different. It's going to look different with 2 superstars playing alongside of him, and we get into the benching, which his coach does at times, taking him out because of defensive situations late in games and some of the body language stuff that hasn't looked good. But LeBron was asked about it last night, and LeBron said, I don't worry about that. I'm not caught up in that. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. And I'm listening to him going, you're the best player in the world, and I love watching him play. But what are you talking about right now? You don't pay any attention to any of this stuff. You were part of this. You were the one that tweeted at your guy all this stuff, then denied it and said, no, I did it for this reason and all these things. And it just made me wonder, is it that LeBron, I don't think it's as devious as LeBron lying to us. I just wonder if there are certain times where you can become detached from reality because your life has never been reality.
1,000,000,000,000% that's what this is. Think about it. When you're the king, the chosen one, when you're on magazine covers, anointed, and then you exceed what is the path that is laid out in front of you. People pave your way before you've even earned it, and then you go, oh, no. You all were ambitious for me, but I was even better. When do you think was the last life exchange for that guy that didn't go his way? The last life exchange. You think he's ever been in line and the lady or the guy from Delta says, oh, no. I'm afraid 22C's what we. No, it's not the exit row. It's right behind the exit row. So
it's not a middle.
Actually, those seats don't recline either. But I'm sorry. When's the last life exchange that this guy's ever had where someone didn't go out of their way to knock people out of the way so that life was easier? When?
I don't know, man. I mean, I've seen guys that aren't LeBron get treated like kings on everything they do, and they expect it, so you become conditioned to it. Look, there are times, let's not kid ourselves, where you and I, like when the EA party's going, hey, sorry, we don't have a bracelet for you.
I'm in the game! I am the voice of the game! What do you mean?
Van Pelt Miami goes, yeah, sorry for your crowd. I voiced the game. We're all coming in. And there's a kid with a clipboard going, all right, I guess so. And you know what? People can listen to this and say, well, that wasn't cool. No, actually, it was called for. I think it was cool at the time. So that's just a small example. So there are people far less accomplished going out there expecting things. And you're absolutely right. When does that ever happen for him? Does his girl keep him in check?
I don't know.
I don't know about that. Look, he's the most powerful. He might be the most powerful athlete in sports today. He's signing one-year deals. He's changing the whole game with this stuff. Going, all right, I'll go down here, 4 finals in a row, get 2 rings. Riley, peace. I guess I could have given you more of a heads up. Riley's a year later still stung about the thing, and LeBron's going, hey, I'm just going to keep doing one-year deals until I figure out where I'm at, so keep up with me.
And that's why I asked the question. And as a side note, I wasn't that aggressive. I was just trying to be polite, but I do think eventually I just kind of started walking in.
Yeah, that was a dramatic reenactment. I'll give you that.
And I'll cop to the fact that having just the smidgen of you start feeling entitled, and you start sending out angry tweets about U.S. Air because you're not taking off 4 hours later.
Just tell us we're not taking off. We're all adults. You don't have to keep lying in 15-minute increments.
Thank you.
Pilots.
Thank you.
What part of flight school is lying to everyone in the cabin?
Thank you. That's all you have to say. Listen.
Hey, I got no clue. No clue. We could be here hours. Saddle up.
We're not really sure what's going on. So we'll see.
Could be pushing off here in about 15 minutes.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
We'll see.
You're lying. I'm grown, okay? I'm grown. Just tell me you're bleeped. I can take that.
We actually have no communication with anyone. We are as jammed as it gets. So let's start pouring some of that Sky vodka.
Who wants some cocktails?
Back to LeBron.
He doesn't deal with a lot of that, is my guess.
So was he wrong last night? When you hear him talking about it last night, you're going, what world are you living in?
Well, it's make-believe.
You don't pay attention to
nobody calls him on the P's and Q's, which is why I look at that Riley thing, and I think Riley might have been the one guy who he looks back across the table and goes, look, you're a bad boy. You're as good as there is in the league, but so am I. I've got some skin in this game. I've got a pile of chips over here, and so there probably was pushback with Riley. Not probably, there was. So all the stuff that you want to run of the place, you want to just be able to just kind of treat the organization as a playground? No. You know what Cleveland's going to say? You want a roller coaster? Yeah. So I think that you can create this alternate universe where you can kind of say stuff like he says, and people don't look around and go, excuse me, that's total BS. That's total BS. So let's just try to rewind the tape.
Look, I went and looked at it. We're talking about a guy that followed Skip Bayless on Twitter. Okay? He followed him. So the guy on our TV over here who's made a run of this like that's his role. He's going to dog LeBron no matter what. And then, of course, always gets mad when anyone calls him on it. You go, no, it's been good for you to call it LeBron all the time, but now he's won, and you say Kyrie Irving is the guy that hits all the big shots, and then I go, why would LeBron follow him? And you go, well, because you do pay attention to all this stuff. So I thought that was really interesting last night when he said that.
And I'm really wondering, like, when's the last time that he would have liked that table over there? And, I'm sorry, Danny DeVito and his party are there tonight.
Does DeVito even hang out in Cleveland? Do you know that?
I don't know where he is, but I'm just saying if he is, Danny's, he might have a big crew. Wants to sit over in the corner.
By the way, we have great pilot voices.
Yeah, I know. I feel good about that. Going to be pushing back to Reagan here.
Who's ready for a fiesta? We're about 20 minutes off the ground here in San Juan.
You're never making your connection. No shot. So, hope you brought a toothbrush and some underwear, because your bags aren't making it to Phoenix, and neither are you.
SVP and Russillo.
No, but not for real.
You are listening live. Don't get all defensive with Chris Long.
I've been down the Mississippi, down through New Orleans. Yes, I have.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good. I've been away. I've missed chatting with you. Life's good?
I missed you guys. Did you enjoy, your replacement friends from the NBA that you replaced them with last week?
Yeah, some are good. Steph Curry is pretty cool. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He kind of tore everybody's heart out down in New Orleans last night.
That did happen. Did you stay? Do you stay up and watch those late games or what?
No, like I kind of was like, oh, well, I thought New Orleans would win a game, there it is, game 3. It might go 5 now, and then you go to bed and you wake up and see what happened. And yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to say he's the MVP, I'm not going to argue with him.
Did you say?
Maybe
Did you say
maybe
whoop? There it is.
I don't know, but say again.
Did you say whoop? There it is.
No, I did not. I did not say whoop. There it is.
Chris, I've heard some fun stories about the draft, and they're not all necessarily going to work for air. But if you take us back to when you got picked second, what stories can you share? Let's just start with this. When did you know? All right, that's where I'm going. I'm going to get picked by this team.
Yeah, so I had a feeling that I might go to, based on the level of interest. There's a lot of back and forth when you're going to be a top 5 pick in the beginning, in that month leading up, and I think it became apparent to me for a number of reasons that it wasn't going to be Miami, and they were going to take my brother Jake. And, after a night of partying the night before, when we were in New York City, I had 20 of my friends up. I got a phone call, and it's loud, and I'm like, who's this? And he's like, Scott Linehan. I'm like, hello? Yeah, I didn't hear you. He's like, hey, coach of the Rams. And I rush into a bathroom stall. And I was like, oh, hey, coach, how you doing? Trying to get it together. And he pretty much told me that I was going to be the guy. And, it was a big adrenaline rush. It's exciting. It's a big challenge, though, too. So it's not pure celebration. It's kind of like, okay, here we go. And, that was the night before. And I guess you've heard some stories from the night after and the day of, if you'd like me to share those as well.
Was there a fire?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so I had 20 of my friends up. A lot of them were my teammates, and we put them up in a motel. They got their own motel rooms and stuff because some of them were still college kids, so they had to scrounge together, and they were staying on the Jersey side, way on the Jersey side.
Yeah, I was trying to think of some motels in Manhattan. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. They weren't living the life, but they were happy. They were playing pranks on each other. The water under the door thing, putting each other's mattresses in bathrooms, and I guess somebody took it too far and poured a bunch of flammable liquid on a door and was acting like he was gonna light it on fire, and then next thing you know, a little accident happened, and there goes the hallway rug or the hallway carpet. And next thing you know, they're all evacuated in the parking lot and feeling like idiots. So, yeah, my buddies almost started a fire, and they made a really inappropriate sign that was a play on words with my name. Go figure. And it was hanging over the Radio City Music Hall top tier. And some people from the NFL came up to me about 5 minutes before the draft and said, are those your buddies? Well, you need to get them to get that sign down or we're going to ask them to leave. So they had to get the sign down.
So they started fires. They made some plays on words involving your name. Nearly got kicked out of both their hotel rooms and the draft.
And stayed in Jersey.
These sound like my friends. I mean, I want to hang out with these guys because I think we get each other.
Yeah, and the sad thing is 4 or 5 of the 20 guys are still playing football in the league. So, they're a classy group. And then the day of the draft, it's all quiet. You're waiting to hear your name called. You're waiting for that phone you always see on TV to ring. And my mom forgets to turn her cell phone on silent. And that goes off, and everybody's freaking out. And it was a false alarm. But, all in all, it was a good weekend. I wasn't like your normal guy that was I made it. Because I was like, damn, you get drafted second, people expect a lot of you. So it was more like a challenge. It was like, here we go. Now we're just getting started. I think some kids make the mistake, and I'm not saying I had it figured out. I had a lot to learn, but I think some kids make the mistake of thinking, this is it. This is the apex. I've accomplished something. And really, you just did really well for 4 years in college. And, if you want to live up to whatever it is, you got to play really well against grown men now for, 8-10 years.
Chris Long hanging out on the Subway Fresh Take hotlines. Get to Subway for your chance to win subs for life. Subway, where superheroes eat. Wolverine not eligible for that. Did you think about telling the NFL when they said, hey, tell your buddies to take the sign down? I'm like, you ain't my daddy. I don't work for you yet.
No, well, actually, interestingly, I didn't. You got to pick your battles, but I picked my battle on that one, and I just called him and thought it would probably be the classy move. But I honestly initially wanted to pull like a Joe Thomas. You know how he went fishing?
Yeah, I didn't even watch.
I mean, what a dude. Like, nonconformist all the way.
Now everybody's doing it.
Well, I don't know if everybody's doing it,
well,
but,
guys.
you know, for me, it wasn't fishing. It was I want to go to this horse race that coincidentally is happening tomorrow in Foxfield, Charlottesville, Virginia.
Let me stop you there then.
My dad talked me out of it. But
all right.
Go ahead.
Tell me about the van and tell me about this weekend because we may have to have you register.
Okay. No, wait. Hold on, bro. This is a recreational vehicle, my man. It's a 1992 Dodge Coachman.
Why does it have a potato gun on it?
It's not a potato gun. If you're asking, do you really want me to answer?
Yes.
Okay, that's where like the waste goes. I have a toilet in there.
Oh, okay.
Hasn't been changed in 3 years, so driving around with that. But nobody's allowed to. Number one only in there.
Yeah, we got you.
Thanks. Yeah, so that van, I bought it on Craigslist for $1,800 as an investment to kind of go with some of the other things in my portfolio. and I went to this guy's house, and he was quite the character. His name was Dennis. So we named the van Dennis the Menace. And Dennis has been camping. He's been, you know, essentially four-wheeling to get some really nasty campsites. He's gone to 4 or 5 horse races. He's a real legend around these parts.
Now I'm familiar with there in the DC area. There was an event called Gold Cup. I'm assuming it's a same type of thing. Super pretentious, a bunch of kids in sundresses and preppy gear, and you come rolling in Dennis the Menace. How is Dennis the Menace greeted by that type of clientele?
You know, Dennis the Menace appeals to people of all ages, all backgrounds. You know, it sets a tone that, you know, you're going to have a nice day. It's going to be a relaxing day. It's not going to be too buttoned up. And I think people welcome that. You know the scene. It's a lot of bow ties and all that garbage. And, you know, Dennis kind of comes in there and just kind of sets the tone. And there might be some people in the crowd that want to be more relaxed. And, you know, they stop by and it makes them feel good. And, you know, Dennis has a lot of accessories. I really splurged at AutoZone last year and put some decals on them.
We see.
Some stickers and, some seat covers to kind of class it up for those people that might be a little more buttoned up. But, you know, it's a nice van.
Well, I said we could see. For those listening on ESPN Radio, you should definitely go to Twitter to our show page and see. And Chris, enjoy yourself, have fun, and maybe we can circle back and find out how the event goes next week.
Thanks, Scott. And so you know, for the majority of the year, that van is parked in Howie Long's driveway, so he gets to stare at it. But y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
That sounds good. It's Chris Long joining us.
SVP and Russillo.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
SVP and Russillo.
Outsider Mike, you mentioned it on your Twitter feed, which is
at Outsider Mike.
Is that where people can find your newest game review?
That's correct.
And what's it for?
It's for Mortal Kombat 10, and I got a fatality of Sub-Zero on there, so it's worth. Just don't show the kids. It's pretty gruesome.
I don't know.
Oh, so that's like the good way to kill a guy, right?
Yeah. With the button things, you have to figure it out. You know, finish him.
Finish him. I used to love that.
And so
finish him.
We were discussing this earlier. If you're going to rate game, you need to come up with some kind of a metric by which you can let people know that you really endorse a game. And you currently have no kind of a.
Yeah, I have no system in place right now. Ryan mentioned maybe 3 out of 5 Hungry Man or something like that.
I think that would be helpful for people.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone gives it, if it's 5 stars, it's a classic. 5 stars. I mean, so five Hungry Mans would be that'd be a good one.
I think I lost my sponsorship with Hungry Man. They haven't sent me anything lately.
I think what happens is you get one big box of
One-time
food,
deal.
and that's like you're not on retainer.
Yeah, I used to make that mistake too, Mike, early on. Like I ran into the guys that did. Speaking of video games, we were doing. I'm trying to think, Assassin's Creed, and then I ran into the guy's like, "Hey, you still at the same address?" I'm like, "No, I changed it. Here's my new stuff." He goes, "We're going to send you a new Xbox." I'm like, "All right." So I waited. And I realized they probably sent it to my old address, and the landlord kept it. But some of the video game relationships we've had, you just expect the boxes to keep showing up, and they don't. So you're right. And I plan on eating that chicken one day, but it's got to be the right day.
If you were going to give if we're going to create a 5-star ranking, a 5 Hungry Man ranking, how many Hungry Mans would you give Mortal Kombat?
I think we're going to give it a 4.
4 and a dessert?
4 and a brownie, yeah. Maybe even apple crisp.
Yeah, who knows? Do we have any of the audio from his Outsider Mike review for Mortal Kombat or no?
No,
but folks,
everybody's just shaking their head.
Nope, we did not do that. But we do actually have some audio. As we started talking this morning about ratings for games and what have you, I did the voice for the Tiger Woods video game for a bit, and then he no longer does the game, and I got booted out of there because I think when they got Augusta on there, that had to be Jim Nantz. So whatever it was fun. I enjoyed it, and it's you spend like a couple of days saying every possibility you could think of that would pop up in a video game.
It's probably the best Tiger Woods video game, too, out of the collection, I just want to say.
Thanks, pal. Well, I did another one as well, and this is not talked about as often, but you guys know about our relationship / friendship with the guys from down at Adult Swim that do Aqua Teen Hunger Force, among others. Aqua Teen Hunger Force featuring Meatwad.
Hey, this is Meatwad, and you listen to Van Peasy for Season and the Hazy.
So we've been friends for a while, and back in 2007, it was time to make the Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am.
What system was that for?
PS2, kicking it, and
that's the second one.
I had forgotten some of the details about this. It's listed this way. It's a hybrid kart racing fighting golf game that takes place on some New Jersey golf courses. And got a 5 out of 10 rating by one of the rating systems, and another one was a less generous. But I'd forgotten some of the things that were said. Let's remember. Go ahead and knock out every window. Get a feel for the club. All right. That was me. Let's see what we have here. Hey, everybody. And we're here at the tutorial level. Layout's pretty simple. Lower middle class neighborhood, vinyl siding, nowhere I would live. I'd forgotten that one. Now, this is a long
What year
one.
is this?
That's 2007, apparently. I think that sounds about right. It felt like maybe it was even earlier that we did the voice work for this. Voice work.
Before you play this next one, there was also like this computer-generated voice that was in it that you kind of went back and forth with. I think you could hear it in this one.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think that was, I would argue with, I think it was like sort of a Space Ghost kind of a feel that was involved. Maybe that's, but some of it I don't remember. I'm sorry, Dave. We had a fun day.
Did you get paid for this?
Yeah, some. There was some money involved.
I can't believe I never played this title.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am. Now, here's the longer one. That love mummy's a real pack rat. His possessions are valueless and plentiful. Avoid those and you may have a clean shot at the hole. Good thing that wind stopped. Otherwise, this hole would have been interesting.
Maybe someone should,
Break the wind? Is that what you were going for?
He who smelt it dealt it. I can say anything I want.
Because you're not a man that has a family and bills. There you go. That was the ghost or something. So
at least got a free copy of the game. Do you remember?
Yeah, but I didn't have a PlayStation 2, so I don't know that I never played it.
Do you still have the copy?
It's probably Jim Mint 10 now.
Yeah,
probably is.
And I would think that I don't know if they keep making the games from older systems.
They probably still publish that one, I bet.
Yeah, I got a 5 again. But you said that's not terrible. You said that there are games that get worse ratings.
Yeah, with so many games that come out and there's so much garbage out there, a 5 out of 10 is actually admirable. It's playable.
I'm pretty sure that when it came time for me to ask permission to do this, that I think I asked, but then I think I didn't. I don't think I ever told them exactly what type of copy was involved.
This sounds like a no.
Yeah, but as you can hear, go ahead and knock out every window. Get a feel for the club. I did it. So it's a little late.
It's so off the radar.
Yep. Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am. 2007 for PlayStation 2.
SVP and Russillo.
Mayo's the best condiment. 9 out of 10 from GameStop for the Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am. 9 out of 10. That's a pretty good rating. So I did the one big thing earlier on this on the Royals and about yet another brouhaha. You like brouhaha or fracas better?
Fracas.
Yet another fracas. Yordano Ventura, their talented mercurial pitcher, in the middle of it last night. And because we went long with Chris Long, because he was talking about his van, and it was awesome. Didn't really have a ton of terrain. But the Cliffs Notes, for those that missed it, this is the third time Ventura in a month. Goes back to April 12th against the against the Angels. Last weekend against the A's. And now last night against the White Sox. This is 3 times in 4 starts that the benches have cleared thanks to this guy. And, last night, Eaton hits a comebacker. Royals fans are going to say, well, Eaton said something to him. I don't know what he said, but he wasn't demonstrative. Ventura eyeballs him and screams, bleep you. He's been kicked out of his last 2 starts. And Ventura did after the game say, I'm paraphrasing, say, I got to be better than this. Well, my feeling is that the Royals need to rein this in because there's one common denominator, and it's you. There's these 3 teams that have been, did Samardzija go nuts last night? Yeah, he was out of his mind. Did Laurie of the A's slide hard, and what went on with that? I don't know, with the media, and I tried to apologize. Yeah. But the thing with Trout was inexcusable. You got mad because he got a hit off you. And you're in the middle of this, man. So I don't know. I think this team wears this emotion on its sleeve, and I don't know that anybody's going to convince them that it's them.
If the only people sticking up for that side of it are just Royals fans, then you're probably wrong, right? I mean, I watch this stuff and you go, okay, it's you every time. So, yes, your guys have been thrown at the most because you're involved in all these things. And Dyson's the last guy, young jock with the motorcycle stuff that we all fell in love with the World Series. Well, he's also the last guy to run up to the pile yesterday and start kind of popping off. And it's like, you weigh 160. Lorenzo Cain with the sucker punch attempt on Samardzija. I don't want to debate anybody on this because there really isn't any other side to it. Like, rein it in. You got 162 to go here, unless there's another side of this where baseball should be like, we know the game takes a while, but with today's young players, maybe or likely there'll be a fight or a near fight. Maybe they just embrace it.
Just so I can at least share the hopefully the light coming on for Ventura. He recognizes some of his actions are putting him in a less than favorable light, as well as the team, which is important to him. He wants to work on it and be better. It's something he needs to work on. And that's Jeremy Guthrie translated for him and shared that. Good. And then manager Ned Yost said, I think he feels like he's got big shoes to fill. It's his arm that does the talking or needs to do the talking. This is the team that stunk for a long time. Homegrown. They took a lot of lumps. When they finally got there, they play different than a lot of teams. It's a whole lot of get on, steal bases, some small ball.
What are we even talking about? We know the answer. Right now, they're coming off as a group of punks the first month of the season. That's it. I don't care about how fun it was last year. That's the brand of baseball they're playing. They're good. They're homegrown. Yep. But who's taking the other side other than the guy with the Royals avatar?
Nobody. I get having a chip on your shoulder, and it serves you well. It serves you well if you've taken your lumps, and now you're feeling yourself a little bit. But I wasn't going to excuse it. It's evident now that this around the league, it's not once, it's not twice, now it's 3 times. And for Ventura, look, if this is the National League, it doesn't happen because you got to step in there and someone's going to drill your skinny frame.
If Trout decides, I'm okay, fine. You want to see what it's like? You want to look at me because I got a hit off you? Stosh, who we love, is our Mizzou guy, Royals fan. Apparently he didn't like my take on it. Said, quote, Is Ryen basically saying the Royals are to blame for getting hit by all these pitches? What? Because teams don't like the way they play, so let's throw them?
They've been hit a lot.
The defense rests. Why? What happened in spring training? Let's throw at the Royals a ton.
And I hate the unwritten rule and the bookkeeping of the slights and never letting stuff go and this kind of stuff with the A's is going to come back, and the stuff with the White Sox involves Samardzija hitting guys on opening day, and so there's that. But it's specific to Ventura. It seems like the light came on for the guy last night, and there's a line where you can be passionate, you can be demonstrative out there, but you just can't as a team do this. And you're right that we're not. This discussion is for Stosh and all you guys with the Royals and your avatars telling us that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess Eaton didn't say anything. No, I guess
he hit a grounder back at your pitcher, and the pitcher said "bleep you" as he ran to first.
Oh well, Eaton said something first. I don't care what Eaton said. He didn't do it in such a demonstrative way where he gives them the big bug eyes and screams "bleep you" in his face.
And then as soon as all the umps are around, your hands are up, going, "What? What are you?"
The first base umpire, I give him credit. He jumped right. He knew exactly what was going to happen.
Of course
Why, though?
No.
He knows he's on the mound.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless Eaton yelled at him, that's for Odeby McDowell sliding into Seitzer. What are we doing?
Seitzer reference.
I did like the point Scott you brought up about the American and National League, though. Like it'd be, I'd like to see Ventura, do this internationally where he's getting up there to bat.
You got to step up. Bottom of the third, here he comes.
But it's worse now. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's
totally
today's baseball player or they're bored, so they want to just be mad at everybody. But they go 0 to irrational faster than any group of human beings walking the planet.
I totally agree with that. And
that's a good take, Ryan.
Hot take.
No, it was a good take. No more temperature ratings on these things. Just now everybody's just doing, if anyone has an opinion on anything, it's a hot take. Anyone that's bad is a troll, and every opinion's a hot take. Be more diverse.
Like Chris
Some
Hall.
takes just stink.
Well, yes, because there's a lot of dumb people. But you're right about baseball. I can't stand the bookkeeping. I can't stand the mental energy it would take to walk around with that many grudges. And you're listening to a grudge holder right here, 2 of them.
Oh, I enjoy the grudges I hold. Okay, but I don't know, man. I respect the game. I don't like the way you turned at first base. I'm going to hate you for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna drill you. Next chance I get.
Like, think how dumb the Royals-Orioles thing was. We had Buster on this week, and so somebody throws behind Batista. Batista smashes one, so he stares at it, and then Adam Jones from the Orioles yells at Batista. And then we find out after the fact that the Orioles were mad that Batista stared down the home run when Batista's going, "You threw behind me." Like, what's worse than that? And they're like, "Yeah, but he's a Rule 5 guy, so he shouldn't be in the majors. He has no control, so you should know our depth chart and our 40-man roster better to know that he doesn't have that experience, and he's pitching all over the place. So even though he throws behind you and you hit a home run, just put your head down and apologize for hitting that home run because he didn't have enough experience." Like, I can't even imagine keeping track of all of this stuff.
I can't either.
But it's good for the game. It's getting eyes on it.
Let's go the other way with it. You may see an irrational fight that no one can explain. Sorry, it's going to take 3+ hours.
We'll give Buster only the last word on this on the Royals.
I know the Royals have this. Some of their players seem to have a perception that other teams are coming after them because they had success last year. They have to get this stuff in check before something really bad happens.
Think about this. The rest of the American League decided to throw at the Royals this year because they had success last year. If there's one thing you wouldn't do is throw at them because they're not great hitters.
No, and they get on base and they steal, and then they're in scoring position. He's smart. See? Rule book. Know it.
SVP and Russillo. Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio. This season, the Mets have been a tale of 2 teams. One of the league's best at home and one of the worst on the road.
Towards the corner.
This weekend, they'll be at home at Citi Field facing the Marlins. Will their home field domination continue, or will Giancarlo Stanton lead Miami to a road win? The Mets and Marlins. The pre-games at 3:30 Eastern, followed by the first pitch at 4:30. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app.
I'm getting ready to say something just remarkably stupid.
SVP and Russillo.
Imagine listening just to this beat for like an hour and a half. Goosebumps.
Goosebumps? I can't imagine it because I did it, and I was sitting on a couch in front of a fish tank in a club called Babies in the Hard Rock in Vegas, and my friends left and came back, and it was like a day later, and I had made best friends with everyone who sat down next to me. I was happy. Man, hey, man, what's going on? Sit down. Where are you guys from? Bay Area? Love that. Look at that fish, man. He is giant. But he's cool with people. He's not messing with anyone in there. Like, he could be the king of this fish tank, but look at him. He's like, nah, man, I'm good. What's your name? Me? I do some venture capital stuff. I'm from New York City. Sometimes I tell people that.
Instead of what?
Sometimes I tell them I was a basketball referee in the Big Sky Conference.
Right, but I mean, instead of what you were actually doing at that time.
Yeah, because I didn't figure that I needed to tell them what I did.
You were here, though.
Maybe could have been tail into the Golf Channel. Right?
Still had hair?
Oh, yeah. We were pushing it forward.
How hot were you?
I felt like I was pretty good. At one time when I lost a bunch of weight.
Wait a minute. What? How heavy were you? What were you at your worst?
I went to the U.S. Open in Pinehurst, 99, straight from Memphis, where I had eaten at Nick Virgos' Rendezvous, where they serve ribs dry, and my suits didn't fit really well. And David Duvall called me like his royal fullness or something. Like there was some version of me saying I was fat. I was like mid-240s. I've got some puffy face pictures where
but you were tall.
Yeah, but I was fat. I was gross. But then when I got skinny, girl broke up with me. I got super mad, went to the gym, and got
bench went up.
Got ripped, bought some super snug Banana Republics and some square toe Kenneth Coles and went straight to Babies and sat by the fish tank and listened to that beat. All right. Friday. You guys feeling it? What were we supposed to talk about? Brad Stevens?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll take a swing at this.
Okay.
Why do people think he's supposed to go someplace else?
Because guys like Steve, you bring it up from time to time.
What do I say?
You're kind of one of those, this guy he's gonna move on here.
I've said that about one thing.
Cal, every week.
No, I've said that about Stevens. The only place I think he'd ever, if Duke ever opened the door, I think he'd entertain that.
But doesn't it show you with the assistants that have gone, I tried to wait K out. I guess I'll take that Marquette job now.
Yeah, but
right? I mean, there have been guys capable. I'll go back now. Well,
yeah,
no, I'll leave and then I'll go back.
With respect to Woj up at Marquette, Stevens is biding his time coaching the Celtics.
No, but I'm just saying that the K, you hear that when Brad Stevens would have his success at Butler, and it was remarkable. I don't care they didn't win the final. He played for a title 2 years in a row. It's ridiculous at Butler. So it would be, why would he leave Butler? And well, he's grounded. It's always funny whenever you hear that. This guy won't leave because, well, he loves family. Hey, a lot of people like family. They can still like money too.
Yeah. They love their church.
Right.
Kids are in a good school.
He's really tied to the community.
Okay.
They shop at a local hardware store.
Honey phone, who is it? It's Danny Ainge. Peace.
6-year deal, bang. So I've heard people say, I don't want to say I've heard, like I've read from people that you respect and you go, well, would Stevens go here? Would he leave for Duke? Would he go to the Thunder? He's coaching the most historic franchise in the history of the NBA, and he has built up so much equity in that city with this year alone just going 40-42, and they were supposed to tank and be trying to decide whether or not they're going to get Towns or Okafor. I don't know why he would leave, even though the team is not necessarily equipped now to compete for a while. It could, it could go one of two ways here.
And similarly, I started saying the same way, but it's not the same. Similarly to he loves Indy, blah, 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 loves being a college coach, you could create plenty of reasons why the Celtics, given that they've got a bunch of future picks and given the storied history, you could make the same kind of why would he ever go. I think it's reasonable to always entertain what would be the carrot on a stick that would entice you to go, let me entertain that. But I'm much more with you. I think that given the job he did with nothing, why would you want to go someplace else? Where would you go? Like, what would even be on the list?
I don't know. I heard guys going, well, he could replace Roy Williams at North Carolina. He'd place K at Duke. I don't know if those guys are leaving.
What's he making a year with Boston?
He's not on the high end of NBA coaches because it's really exploded now. Where it's almost if you have some kind of name, it's $5 million. But
Fisher made $5 million to coach the Knicks this year.
Fisher made more than I think 22 or 23 coaches in the NBA this year.
Think about that.
I think Stevens. I mean, I probably can look it up right now as you do this. But the reason when he did the deal, I go, well, I hope the deal is long because they're not going to be good for a little while. So he's going to be able to kind of learn on the job. And there really shouldn't be any pressure on him. And I had buddies in the beginning of this year being like, I don't understand what the Stevens thing's all about. I go, are you that dumb? The team stinks. Like, what's he supposed to do? And he actually has made an impact for a roster that, again, is all role guys. They're all role players. And you can see in this Cavs series, coming down to that crunch time bucket, who's getting it? Well, Isaiah Thomas is either going to hit it or flail into a million people. That's about it. That's the only plan right now.
There's not a ton.
Ryan, is it possible in that city, though, he's built up the equity too fast?
I get what you're saying, that, well, if he could do that with guys that aren't that good, then where's our championship? And I understand that seems to be the price you have to pay to coach in some of these cities. I just can't imagine if I'm not even 40 and I'm the head coach. That'd be me as head coach of the Boston Celtics.
That would be really good.
Get a lot of technicals. But
what would be your style? What would be your style?
I would not yell at refs the whole time. I wouldn't at all. That's actually a joke that I get a lot of technicals because I would actually sit there and just go, all right.
That's not that. I didn't do a good job asking it. Yeah, I want to know what's our go-to? Are we tie or no tie?
No tie.
Are we stand arms fold Byron Scott or are we Gary Williams catcher squat whole game?
I like the catcher squat.
Try it for 3 minutes and see how that goes.
But I wouldn't do it the whole game. I don't know how you'd be because you're in that moment. If you showed video of coaches to themselves, they'd probably be horrified. And if you're a competitive person, like most of us that love sports are, if you were a head coach. But I just look at the guys that yell every single moment. When I look at Jamie Dixon at Pitt, I go, do you really think you're getting that screwed in every second of the game? Or could you ever just breathe and realize maybe I'm wrong here? Maybe the guy that points the opposite direction for his team on every single possession, when you go, your player just picked up the ball and whipped it into the stands and you're pointing the other way. Like every now and then, don't yell every time. So I try not to yell every time. I don't know. What do you think? You think I would yell the whole time?
No, but I think when you win, when you really got mad, like you keep it in, but then like once every 2 or 3 months you'd go nuclear and you'd get ejected.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll take that. Joey Crawford.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you're going to have a real hard time with that guy.
Yeah, would you give, like, an assistant the job to tell you who the refs were, like, the day before the game?
No, I'd study them on my own. But you know what I'd do is try to think of who I'd hire. I'd hire, like, Marcellus Wiley just to be an assistant. So you could just sit there with Marcellus. And, like, I would say, Marcellus, yell at him about this. Because the coaches, like the guys that go, I'm super coach and act it out the whole time are great. Then there's also stoic, I'm in control of everything coach that sometimes isn't doing anything. So it's a tough thing to play.
One more quickly back to Stevens. Do Celtic fans like him already more than they ever liked Doc?
No, I don't think so. But there was a weird group of people that didn't like Doc, but I blame Simmons for that. Because Simmons from the get-go would just blast Doc.
Blame Bill.
No, but then he wrote an article that stung that building, man. When Doc, they had some losses in the beginning, and Bill just flat out said in the first line of a piece was flat out, Doc Rivers cannot coach basketball. The owners used to read Simmons' columns.
Well, they were wrong. He was wrong.
Yeah, I tell Bill about that I disagreed with him on that point all the time. So I do think that there's a large portion of people that just the Simmons army that believe he's not wrong about anything. Who went, all right, see, I knew Doc stunk. Bill said it, and I never thought Doc was that bad. You know what? I can't say that Stevens is more well-liked than Doc because he got him a ring, so what am I trying to do?
Earlier today on SVP and Russillo.
I got caught in travel hell on Wednesday, and Ryan and I started yelling about what happens when people lie to us. Pilots lie to us. We're not really sure what's going on, so we'll see.
Could be pushing off here in about 15 minutes.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're lying. I'm grown, okay? I'm grown. Just tell me you're bleeped. I can take that.
We actually have no communication with anyone. We are as jammed as it gets. So let's start pouring some of that Sky vodka.
Who wants some cocktails? That's what we would like.
Happens to me all the time. And I just look around at all the suckers going, what did they say, 15 minutes? And I just shake my head violently back and forth. I look at the stewardess. I stare them down. I go, you're all liars, every one of you. Just tell me that I'm not going to make it to the Atlanta terminal to get Chick-fil-A because we're just going to sit here in the tarmac for 3 hours. Just say. I think 3 hours is my record. I've got to be honest. I hear about some of these 6-hour horror stories, and that's when I just start escaping, Andy Dufresne style out of the side of the thing.
I think I've told the story about a buddy's brother that was on one of those JetBlue flights 100 years ago that got stuck on the tarmac in either JFK or LaGuardia for like 10 hours. And he got up from his seat in the back, and he went and sat down because the first-class cabin was open. He went and sat down in the first-class seat. And the stewardess came and she said, you have to go back to your seat. And he's like, what are you going to do? Kick me off the plane?
I love that guy.
Which is genius. He's like, tell me what I can do that will allow me to get off of this prison cell on this tarmac. And he just made himself comfy. Because he had broken no law. He just wanted not to be lied to anymore. Just we're adults.
And no, as soon as they say 15, 20, that means 40 at least. And I don't know if did the guy just get promoted from elementary bus where you can lie to most of your passengers? And over here, Santa Claus is going to be on the right.
All right.
So I don't get it. There must be some study that they do that they say if you just lie to the passengers, if you tell the passengers in the flight it will be an hour, it's worse off for everybody. But I don't know. I think lying is worse.
5 different automated calls from U.S. Air. Hello. Is this Robert Von Pelt? Your flight is behind schedule. No, bleep, it's behind schedule. I'm sitting on it. And I've been lied to 5 different times by some guy who says in 15. I can see there's a freaking van. There's a Scooby-Doo bus outside here, and some guy with a wrench is trying to fix it. We're not taking off. He's just looking around going,
Let's practice the inflatable escape thing. Let's do something.
Let's make use of our time.
Right.
Also, this happened.
What happened in spring training? Let's throw at the Royals a ton.
Yep. That's where that started.
I'm actually proud of Royals fans today because I thought they were going to get really mad at our takes on this. The team is acting up here the first month, and for the most part, I was pretty proud of the responses that we got. We're like, yeah, what's the defense of how they've kind of carried themselves?
I think they were grown up. It's rare, almost never, that I want a serious answer to one of these questions, but I'm asking for a serious answer to this question.
Okay.
When you were a DJ in the grill.
Yes.
And when Mikey Outsider was Club Mike Outsider spinning, give me a point spread in Vegas on who was a better DJ.
Oh, I'm sure Mike was better technically and all the stuff. I mean, I got really, really loose with that job the second week in the grill.
A lot of rewind.
I was just putting mini discs in. I'd have it wrong, queued up. I was drunk, I think, this entire second week. Because the first week I didn't go out, I didn't drink, I didn't do anything. And then I'm like, man, and it was this weird epiphany. I was standing, Drew Brees was there. I was standing in the water surrounded by beautiful girls, and I'm in the grill, and I'm absolutely miserable because all I've done is work, and the guy who said the thing kind of lied to me. So I said, second week I'm just going to get drunk all the time. I don't care.
So there was no mixing, no beat matching.
I tried. Pretty hammered at 4 a.m. trying to do that, swimming back from an inflatable trampoline where I was making out with some girl.
So we have that as Outsider Mike minus 14.5.
It skipped while I was making out. I had to swim back like Mark Spitz.
Enjoy your weekend.
SVP and Russillo.
Russillo!
Miguel Cabrera leads the Detroit Tigers into Anaheim to face Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. The pregame's at 7 Eastern, followed by first pitch at 8. Sunday on ESPN2 and on ESPN Radio.